Hey, it's Carolyn Brown here, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm a career coach and the founder of the Straight to Shortlist Challenge. Now today, I had the absolute pleasure of reviewing Judy Law's LinkedIn profile. Now Judy is an HRIS manager who's been on LinkedIn for quite a few years and has been using LinkedIn to search for jobs and to promote her professional brand. Now in this video, I cover all the key areas you need to consider if you want to have a professional LinkedIn profile that comes up in searches and promotes people to click through on that profile when they find it. So I cover the banner, the photo, the headline, the about section, the experience section, and the skills and endorsements section. Now with this video, just one little warning, it's a live recording, so you can see my thought process in action, so it's a bit raw in parts, but I hope you get some great value out of it. And if you want to skip to a bit that you're concerned about in your own profile, I've put some timestamps in the description below. So just click on those and you'll go straight to the part where we look at that on Judy's profile. Now, before I get started, if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any more videos like this. So I really hope you enjoy this video. Let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me today, Judy. It's fantastic to have you here.
Thanks so much, Carolyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, wonderful. We're going to have a look at your LinkedIn profile, but I thought, first of all, let's start with introducing yourself. So telling us a little bit about yourself and how you're actually using LinkedIn.
Okay. So my name is Judy Law. I'm an HRIS specialist, more or less. HRIS, for those who don't know, is Human Resources Information Systems. So any of the systems that have to do with people information, I kind of handle that kind of stuff. I have a passion for customer service. Part of what my roles have entailed over the past 10 to 15 years are to support team members at the company when they have questions on anything related to HR. So also have a strong customer service call center background. So team members call in, they have a question about how do I submit a transaction to promote a team member? How do I hire somebody in the system, etc. So it's a real passion that I have for helping managers so that they don't have to work so hard at the day-to-day information that they may not necessarily need to run their portion of the business. So it frees them up to be able to be more effective and more strategic at their jobs. And the same thing with team members. It takes their worries away that there's a resource that they can go to so that they can come to work and be their best selves.
For anyone wanting a lesson in how to answer, tell me about yourself. You just nailed it there, Judy. I just needed to jump in and say that because, you show a passion for what you do, and I can clearly visualize a bit about who you are and a bit about what you enjoy. So tell me about how you've been using LinkedIn.
In the most recent past, I've used it because I lost my position at my previous employer. As happens in business, there are ups and downs, and my previous employer let go about 400 team members. It was in the news, so I'm not letting any cats out of the bag or anything. And so I needed to take a look at my LinkedIn profile and make sure that it had the most current information because I had been very comfortable where I was. I was with my former employer for about 10 years. And in that time, after I had found that position using LinkedIn as well, I check in a couple of times a week, see what articles are out there, what things are posted, connect with friends, and that type of thing. Congratulate people on their new jobs, their new roles, their anniversaries, and that type of thing. And also keeping in the forefront of what news is out there as well. I follow various companies, so I get to see feeds on what they're doing as well. Then more recently, like I said, after I lost my position, I leveraged it to start my job search for my new job.
So you were searching for jobs on LinkedIn, or were you reaching out to your network as well?
I was searching for jobs on LinkedIn, but I also, I hadn't gotten to the part of using the network as much as you might think I would, because one of my previous colleagues reached out to me and connected to me on LinkedIn when he heard about what was going on at my previous employer and said, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay, but I'm unemployed." And it just turns out that he had an open position and I landed very quickly. So I was very, very fortunate. But that's the power of LinkedIn, is that, you keep those connections up and people know what's going on in your life as well. And it really makes it a lot easier to land. So I was very fortunate, but I do know that in the past I did have to, when I found my previous job, did a lot of networking on LinkedIn, reached out to people. I went to networking meetings. I was collecting business cards and all that type of thing and keeping connected to people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people sort of use LinkedIn in the way that you do. When you've got a job, you don't think about it. You check in a couple of times a week. I think the stats say that. And then, when something happens, you go, "Oh, I've got to get it up to date and in order." But it's a great umbrella for keeping people under your umbrella. You don't know who's seen that you've left your job or that you're out in the market or that you're active, and it does trigger those conversations and those memories of what a great person Judy was, and do you know what I mean, from your old boss. Let's bring up the LinkedIn profile, and I'll give you my observations as a stranger. So somebody that, I've known you professionally, but I don't really know that much about what you do and that type of thing. Like, my first observation is that you are a professional, credible, friendly person just by what you've filled out. So a lot of people don't have information on their LinkedIn profile, and they wonder why people don't accept their connection request, or people don't reach out to them, or they get the wrong kind of job offers, or they just don't look approachable. But my first impression of yours is you look approachable. You look like a real human being, and you look like a very friendly human being as well, because, we're visual people. So I'm looking at your photo and I think big smile, lovely photo. I would feel more confident just reaching out to connect with you based on that. And also the fact that you've got the banner up there as well. Just, it's got colour, it will stand out. People will remember that profile. I think people forget that we're very visual people. So if we see something, we believe it. And I keep harping on about that. So, if you had an aeroplane in the back of your banner, for example, people might think that you had a great interest in aviation and maybe flew planes, even if you didn't. So it's so powerful that way. Even, so yeah, I think that works really, really well. And just in general, you've obviously have taken the care to actually populate your profile so it looks current and up to date. Sort of activities, commenting and sharing and liking. You look like you're visible. So if I reached out to you, then I would think Judy's going to be responsive because you're active on the platform as well. And this stuff like, congratulations on the new role, they're lucky to have you. Even though you're saying that about somebody else, or doing that to somebody else, it's saying something about you as well. You're active in your network, encouraging people, supporting others. And again, I think that gives that overall impression of friendliness as well. And then going down to the experience section, you just found a new job in April, so a month ago roughly. So, I think, okay, she's just started that, so she's not filled it out yet. We're starting to settle into your job and get comfortable. And then looking at, what you've got filled in for QVC, I look at it and go, you've taken what you've done seriously enough to populate it with some quality information. If you were thinking about that on your LinkedIn profile, what kind of impression were you trying to make?
To your point, I am and try to be a very friendly person. And as I've said, customer service is really important to me. So I want people to feel like I'm approachable. I see a lot of profiles out there that people are very much, this is a business medium. However, for me, I also want to have fun at work. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to convey that yes, I'm a serious business person, but I also want to have fun. So hence the picture with the big smile, hence the line that starts, I love what I do because I do. And I want people to know that, and that I am enthusiastic. I think that is probably what comes across for me, but I also wanted to make sure that I got the business information in there of things that I've accomplished, because I have some serious accomplishments. And it's very hard for me. I think it is for a lot of people to talk about what their accomplishments are because it feels like bragging. But, I just wanted to make sure that it was out there, because if I can't brag about me, how can anybody else brag about me?
Yeah, we all struggle with that. It's that kind of imposter syndrome type thing. But the older I get, the more I realize that it's the thing that's held me back, and I know has held other people back, is confidence, So you kind of go into a job and you forget everything that you've done previously. So, you're back to zero because you probably had that experience of being unemployed and looking for a job. But I find with my clients, there's a huge difference between how they see themselves, which is here, and where they are, which is here. And, bridging that gap, and you go, imagine what you could do next. When you see yourself here and you're actually here, there's no way that you're going to be over egging or overstating what you do. You're thinking about the impact and the value that you've delivered in your role. So a few things that I thought I'd go through, and just as I mentioned before, they're just tweaks more than anything else, making a strong profile stronger, and help you get more targeted connections, maybe come up in recruiter searches, represent your employer professionally. So you're okay if I jump into that?
Absolutely. I would love to hear, because I do, you can see on LinkedIn how many times you've come up in a search. And when I see people that search for me and I see that they're recruiters, but they don't ever reach out to me, I always scratch my head and wonder, like, what could I have done differently? In order to attract that person. So,
So my thoughts are, like with the banner, what I was a bit confused about was, I liked the background image because that's a work-related image, but just the quote, I feel like it could be something around, I want to know what HR process or processes and how it might make somebody's life easier. So you're taking time, you're taking the transactional, trying to say that word, stuff away from HR managers on the ground. Is that correct?
Really for leaders across the company, because so much of HRIS these days, the leaders and managers in the various departments are responsible for their own data for their own team members. So it's really helping them who don't understand necessarily the process or the data, and just want to make it easier for them so that they, for a transaction that they may have to do once or twice a year, they're not going to remember what it is. So I want to make it easier for them, so that they can remember it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there is something in there that's a bit more specific, helping them better manage their people, helping leaders focus on what they do best every day. Just something that has kind of like the end impact. So when people are looking at LinkedIn, right, the first thing that they're going to look at is your photo, your banner, your headline. And if they can grasp who you are with that, shapes up how they read the rest of the profile, but they may not read the rest of the profile, basically. They might, so that's why I'm sort of focusing on this section to start off with. Photo is absolutely lovely, as I mentioned before. Wouldn't change a thing about that. Don't go changing. The headline, I think, I'm going to show you somebody else's profile to show you what I mean. The headline, you get 220 characters to have an impact. So the right headline will help you come up in searches for recruiters or for other people. And it will also promote people clicking through on your profile when they see the headline, because they'll understand exactly what you do. So what I suggest that you include in your headline is your job title, perhaps the sector that you specialize in, if you do, and how you've had impact. And you can also include some skills as well. So for this person, you can see that he's a senior HR manager and a transformation business partner. So that's his job titles. The sector that he's specialised in is tech and high growth startup. How he has impact is that he aligns people strategy to business aims and that he builds best HR practice based on data and analytics. So this last section of his headline is pretty much his mission statement, if you like. So you can kind of get a sense of what he does, where he's worked, and how he's had added value. When he reaches out to connect, that people might just look at that title and go, yes, checks up how people understand his profile. So that would be, on your profile here, the change to think about. With your about section, again, I really like it. I love that first line. I love what I do because it conveys that energy and passion. But what I would do would be just try and break. When we read, we like to digest information logically. So one idea leads to the next idea, leads to the next idea, leads to the next idea. So I would break this up a little bit into, and this is what I normally do with clients, is break it up to what you enjoy. Then I thought what you could have is another paragraph, which is something along the lines of a typical day at work for me would involve. So that's where you tell people about what you do. And then perhaps lead into, career highlights. So that's where you might put in some of those dreaded achievements, basically. And then you could end up with what your strengths are. So like your final sort of call to action would be along the lines of, I'm a strong leader with a collaborative, inclusive style, and I lead by example type thing. So to sort of break it up into those 4 paragraphs, like what you enjoy, what you do every day, what are some of your accomplishments or how you value add, and then what your strengths are, basically. You've got all that information already there. It's just sort of breaking it up so people will read it and digest it logically. And I mean, a lot of people don't read the about section, or they might just read the first few lines because that's what appears. I always say with this, it's about you as well. Like it's your introduction to the world, but it's also you. It's a central point where you could reflect back and go, this is me, and this is why people should connect with me. And, as a reminder when you're looking for a role and it sort of gets a bit dark and you think nobody will say yes, to go back and just say, no, this is me, basically. It's a nice centralized point for that. The people that will read this are people that are looking for a specific reason to connect with you, or recruiters as well. And
that's some really good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, with your current role, I would suspect, because you're working remotely, that some of you people, as you've just been hired, will go back and check out who you are and where you've come from, particularly if you're their manager. So
Yes.
It's like, who is Judy? But it's like, do we like Judy? No, I'm kidding. But you want to be like, people talk about personal branding, and I reckon a lot of confusion comes at work because people don't know what you're there for, and how you operate and what your intention is. So I would now go back and populate this job and talk about what, a line about the American Cancer Society, and then another line about what your role is to do. So what have you been employed to do? And then you could leave it at that for the moment, but as you start to deliver some value in that role, start to populate that as well. And then anybody that's going back will go, oh, this is who doesn't know you, or that you might have reached out to, somebody across the states, or across the other side of the country. They know exactly who you are, basically. So and the thing about, just jumping back to what you've got up here, say in your headline and your banner, then they know the type of person that you are and your intention with people as well, because you're kind of saying something about your values and the way that you work. And then going back to QVC, fantastic information in there. I will probably pull out some of these accomplishments and populate them back up into the About section.
Yep.
Again, QVC, are they a well-known organisation, or is it a well-known brand? Or
I would like to think so. They're well known amongst their customers. I don't know. They're not as well known as like an Amazon or a Walmart. So
the reason I ask that is, like, for some, like if you had Amazon on your profile, everybody would know Amazon. Maybe a line about the company or about the environment, like a fast-paced, for QVC, working in a fast-paced, high transactional, high volume, high pressure environment, and then leading to what you've done. And I would include the word I here, because I manage the data management, COVID-19 and HR programs, just because it's, again, more personal. So yeah, little line about the environment, like the working environment or QVC, then leading to I. So a couple of lines, or 2 or 3 lines about what you did, and then maybe break it up so it's easy to read and put, the value I delivered included as a little headline, and then you can list the accomplishment, just again so it makes it logical to read that section of your profile, basically. Where you'd put the emphasis on the jobs in terms of the detail would be thinking about, is it relevant to the next role that I want to get, or is it relevant to this role that, I'm working in as well? But yeah, overall, I think, they're only minor tweaks, basically, from what I'm suggesting. Yes. Your skills, I assume that they're up to date in terms of what you're using at the moment, are they?
Yes.
Yeah. Because now when you've gone and you've assigned them to the role that you're working in, so you can see what you've got listed in your skills and endorsement section now comes up there. So you want, maybe go through and add a few extra skills around that, just to maximise the impact. When people are looking at your profile, if I go back and I just hit refresh, they generally only see in the experience section. Yeah, so this is what they see, 2 lines and the skills. So you might as well, if you can get sort of 2 lines worth of skills here, then you can weave it in, more bits in, before people need to click down and see more, basically.
That's great feedback. Thank you.
So there we have it. I hope you can see from Judy's profile all the bits that you'll need to pay attention to on your own profile. And of course, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you like this video and you want to see more of us, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.